Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in every Sunday at 12 Eastern for our 88 Fitness Training Live. I'm flying solo today. James is out in Vermont skiing, having fun for the holidays with some family and friends. So just got me today. And our topic is going to be tips for avoiding holiday binge eating. So if you haven't already noticed, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and we've got Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's. I mean, it's no doubt a time to really celebrate, and there's no shortage of temptation and opportunities to overindulge. So whether it's parties and potlucks and get-togethers, I mean, there's just this abundance of food and alcohol. And unfortunately, that leads a lot of times for a lot of us to binge eating. And you kind of start to feel guilty about that. And you tell yourself, well, I'll get back track in the new year. Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to really worry about binge eating. There's ways to combat that and deal with that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So definitely stay all the way till the end. We're going to go through, what is binge eating, some long-term strategies for dealing with it, and then what can you do like mid-binge when you really need to stop yourself. So, all right, let's jump right into it. So what is binge? Basically it's any time where you have this uncontrollable urge to eat this large amounts of food in a very short amount of time. And what's unique about the binge eating is usually you feel pretty guilty about it afterwards. That's not really the same thing as going out and celebrating a promotion or a graduation and having a large meal and feeling good about it, right? So binge eating is really, you're feeling guilty about it. You shouldn't have done it. And you really regret that situation. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, at the extreme end, there's actually binge eating disorder. And so this means that you've really had more than one episode a week, and this is occurring for months and months on end. So we're not going to talk about that today. I'm not a physician. I'm a personal trainer. And so really I'm coming at you from my own experiences with overindulging, as well as my clients, and giving you personal tips that I've learned throughout my own journey. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, this doesn't have to be necessarily related to the holidays or kind of celebrations and things like that. This could be something that you struggle with just in everyday life. I know for myself, I struggled with this for a long time. I was overweight for years, and a lot of it had to do with that binge eating and just eating really, really big portion sizes. So let's talk about that. What are some of the feelings around binge eating? Like I mentioned, first and foremost, usually it's some type of shame or guilt. You consume all the food and then you're sitting there like, oh, I feel awful about what I've just done. Yes, I had a cupcake, but I didn't need to eat the 3 other cupcakes with it, kind of thing. Or you start to blame yourself and doubt yourself, saying I should have did more cardio today. I shouldn't have not went to that party, and all sorts of things. And then I think over time, as you keep doing that, you start to get kind of secretive about it, because you don't want to be judged, right? You don't want someone looking at you while you're kind of in that state. So you try to avoid people, you try to hide it. Maybe you're doing this late at night after everyone's gone to bed. And I've had many clients, they'll say, I put everyone down, to sleep at night, and then I don't know what happened. I was just looking at my kids' goldfish or their snacks, and then next thing you know, I ate the whole bag. How do I deal with this? I don't want to be doing that kind of thing. I think too, a lot of times, especially for competitive bodybuilders, and that's kind of the lens I come from, we deal with this a lot, because if we're always in this cut bulk cycle, and it just lends itself to overindulging, especially when you're coming out of a period of restriction. So those are kind of some of the feelings and emotions around binge eating. So you're probably asking, like, well, why does this happen? Like, why is it so difficult to control? Why can't you stop yourself from doing it? In my experience, the number one reason that leads to binge eating is stress. Yes, it's stress, y'all. I mean, if you look at it, as your cortisol levels increase, so does your appetite. And really, that's happening because your body's like entering this fight or flight status, and it's saying, whoa, I need energy. I need energy for whatever I'm dealing with. And so it triggers your body to want, things that are high in sugar, high in fat, high in calories. It's those like energy dense foods. And so as you remain in that state, your body just craves and craves and craves. Now, if whatever the stressor was goes away, then that cortisol level comes back down and you're not craving those things and you can usually deal with it. But one of the things I think happens is that, stress level doesn't go down. It just stays, right, for months and weeks and years on end and creeps up over time. And to the point where a lot of times you don't even realize it. I know for me personally, like, I don't realize how stressed I've been until I usually go on vacation, right? Because we're busy people. I mean, I have a full-time job, personal training, like other side businesses and things. I'm just constantly go, go, go. And I think after a while, you kind of forget that you are actually stressed out. And a lot of times that just leads to mindless eating, binge eating, and it's really just a way to cope with that level of stress. And like I said, your body's not helping you. It's like saying, yeah, we need energy, we need food, feed us, feed us. So it makes it really, really hard. So what do you do about this, right? I guess I'll go through some long-term strategies that I've tried in the past and use with my clients on it. Like, first and foremost, I would say identify what the emotional trigger is that's causing you to binge eat. So for some, I've suggested getting a logbook and actually writing down, like, as soon as that episode's over, write down, what did you eat? What was going on that day, that week, kind of what was your mood, your feelings around that episode. And then that might help to pinpoint, oh yeah, like, things have been hectic at work. I didn't really think about it in that way, but that's one of my triggers or something like that. And you might even find, hey, it wasn't stress at all. I was just bored. I had nothing to do all day. And that seemed like, a good thing to do. So I think a lot of times if you start logging and kind of journaling and writing it down, you start to see trends and patterns over time. Now I get it. A lot of people don't like having a cart around journal or that sort of thing, or they feel so guilty about the binge. They don't want to document it. Like, I get it. I've been there. So what do you do? What are some other strategies? One thing I would caution everyone would just be, look, be careful with diets, especially fad diets, and restricting intake. As I mentioned, in the world of bodybuilding, that's very difficult to do. You're usually either leaning out for some kind of competitive event, or you're in off season and you're bulking. So it's kind of like, all or nothing. And so that kind of restriction over time can lead to binge eating. So one of the things I really recommend is that you really take a close look at how you're meal prepping your meals. Like, you're gonna want food available to you. It's easy to grab. You don't want to, and you need to make sure you're eating enough, right? So take a look at how much fiber you're eating, how much protein, how much water you're drinking. It's not all about, like, I'm going to cut out all carbs because, carbs are bad and that's what I binge on. No, that's not necessarily the case, but you want a balanced diet, right? And then, in addition to that, I would say another tip or strategy for you would just be to practice mindfulness. I know for me, this one's key. I'm a really fast eater. And if I am having a binge eating episode, man, I could like eat a half a sleeve of Oreos or something before I even like take a breath and look up. So, that's the one suggestion I would just say is be present while you're eating, slow it down, like really taste your food, take your time, maybe engage others in conversations just to slow yourself down. That way you're not, you can realize that it's unraveling very quickly and you can pull that back in. So yeah, really pay attention to what you're eating, how big the bites are, how much you're chewing your food, like really just stay in that moment. Don't, just eyes glaze over, you don't know what you're doing kind of thing. And that should really help. Another thing I would say is to clean out the kitchen, right? Like, stock your kitchen with fresh food, fruits and vegetables and protein rich foods, whole grains, nuts, seeds. If you have the cookies and the ice cream and the whatever you're binging on readily available, it makes it that much easier. You kind of can't avoid the temptation if it's just staring you in the face all day. And one of the things I suggest, is if you want that ice cream, go out and get a cone of ice cream. You don't need that pint of ice cream in your freezer. Same with cookies. I mean, there's so many cupcakes and cookie shops. It's very easy just to go get one when you want one versus having it at your house and like having that, uncontrollable urge to keep eating. A good example of this is, since it is Christmas time here, people like to bake cookies. So my family does this too. I mean, we'll bake probably 5, 6 dozen different types of cookies. And so I have a whole table of Christmas cookies right there. So one of the strategies I do is I'll pack up the vast majority of them and just give them away to friends, families, coworkers. I get them out of the house. And just keep just a couple, just a few. And that really helps control that as well. Now, another strategy that you can also try is just getting more active, being fit. So, I mean, there's nothing like hitting the weights, getting that cycle class in. You definitely don't want to come home and just binge on something at that point, right? Because you already know, like, hey, I'm not going to feel good about that. I don't want, I exerted this much energy. I don't want to have to go back and do more kind of thing. So just being active, I think, is a big, big deterrent for the binge eating. It helps keep you accountable and on track. And then, if all of those tips just aren't working and you're still doing this, or you suspect that you have binge eating disorder because it's happening multiple times, then you need to ask for help. I think there's this huge stigma today in our society that you can't ask for help, but sometimes you just need to, right? Because binge eating isn't good. Because again, we talked about it, you're eating high sugar, high fat snacks, and over time that leads to obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol. I mean, you name it. It's got so many adverse health effects with binge eating. So it's just not worth it. Definitely reach out and ask for help if that's something that you're struggling with. All right. So those were kind of long-term strategies. But what do you do when you're like mid binge? It hits hard, you're in the middle of it, or how can you prevent it? So these next set of tips are going to be more geared towards that. One thing that really works for a lot of my clients is just to distract yourself. It's getting up and getting away from the thing that you're fixated on. And usually if you can walk away, it just breaks that pattern. It gives you that pause that you need to just wake up and really be present and realize what you're doing. Because again, a lot of the times with the binge eating, it's more mindless eating. Like you are in a daze, eyes glazed over, just snacking away on whatever it is. So if you break that focus and walk away for a little bit and go do something else, usually you can reel yourself back in. Another thing that I always say is pick up the phone and call someone. I have offered this to every single client, and I've actually only had one client actually do this. But I'll usually say, hey, if you are in that state and you're like looking at that, box of cupcakes, like, oh boy, it's about to go down, like, I want you to pick up that phone and call you. And I think most of us have, some type of friend or family member that would be more than willing to do that and provide that level of support. And again, really picking up that phone, similar to walking away, it's that pause, that time out that you need to reevaluate and be more present in what you're doing. So those are really good strategies. And then when in doubt, one of the things, especially in the prevention, that I tell my clients, it's one of my slogans is, I'll look at the item that I'm about to binge on, and I say, it's not that I can't have this, I'm just not going to have it now. Right. And this is actually something I did last night. So it is Christmas time. I was stuffing the stockings with a bunch of candy. I literally had like big bags of candy. See, I've got them here. And I'm looking at this candy like, oh my goodness, those Reese trees are my favorite. Like, I could mow down like 10 of those right now. And I literally had to like say, time out. I walked away and I said, you know what? It's not that I can't have this. I'm just not going to have it now. I'm going to wait until it's Christmas when I'm opening this stocking, and then I can eat some just like everybody else. And again, just that pause and really thinking it through, it stopped it dead in its tracks. And then last tip for you, sounds kind of silly, but if you're mid binge or thinking about binging, get up and brush your teeth. I mean, usually if you got that minty, like wintergreen taste in your mouth, all of a sudden you're not craving something sweet, salty, fattening, whatever. So it definitely is a really effective strategy. So that was a lot of tips for you. But again, I think, the number one thing with the binge eating over the holidays is just to be mindful, to be present, and to be aware that you're doing it. And then if you could figure that out, then you can definitely say, all right, I'm going to call timeout on myself. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to walk away, pick up that phone, brush my teeth, whatever it is to stop it. And then long term, like I said, there's great strategies from, making sure you're meal prepping well-balanced meals, journaling, writing about it, as well as figuring out what are those triggers that are causing it in your life. What are those stressful situations that you might be able to deal with? So, all right, there you have it. I hope this video reaches all of you in time before all those parties and potlucks. I know me, myself, I have my work party coming up on Tuesday, so I'll probably be using some of these tips as well. But again, let's break the cycle, y'all. There's no reason to say, hey, I'm going to overindulge for the next 2 weeks and then, wait till January 1st, new year, new me. Let's not do that. Let's stop the yo-yo dieting now. Let's stop the binge eating now. We can do this. Absolutely. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this live video. We're here every Sunday at 12 Eastern time. So definitely check it out. Check out our other videos too. We have some really great playlists that you can check out. But all right, y'all, well, have a very great day. See you guys next time. Bye.